FA Cup final. And Hatchin! What a magnificent goal!
Good morning and welcome to All Things Sky Blue match preview. It is a Sunday morning. It is the day after, yes, that Leeds defeat, unfortunately, where we didn't show up again. But more on that a little bit later. Just remember where you can find us. We are available on Twitter or X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It is flowing on the ticker down at the bottom as well. Instagram as well. If you do watch us on YouTube, please go and like and subscribe. If you listen to us as a podcast, because we are available on there as well, please go and rate us 5 stars. And you can get your podcasts from wherever you get them from. So Spotify, Amazon Prime, iTunes. We are available on all platforms. We are partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena and also the Sky Blue Tavern in town. And we're sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications, who can do your steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. So let me bring in my guests. So my guests, as always, on the Coventry side is Mark Smith. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Stuart. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, how are you personally? Because we had a conversation a minute ago, didn't we? But how are you personally? Are you okay?
Oh, personally, I'm fine. But from a football point of view, I'm not fine. I think it's a worrying time at the moment. You know, the only positive I could say is that we're not in the bottom 3. But the long and short of it is we need results because
We do.
you know we're woefully out of form. It's been a really, really disappointing start of the season. Another slow start of the season, I might hasten to add. And it's worrying times.
It is. And let me bring in the Rovers guest, which is Katie Talks Rovers. And we have Katie, a chirpy Katie,
Hello.
because they're unbeaten. How are you, Katie?
I'm very good. How are you both?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Thank you very much for joining us and coming on our match preview. It's good to have you on. Before we get into everything, can you just let people know what you do and where we can find you?
Yeah, of course. So I've kind of really started more my content game this year. I was very much on TikTok, so Katie Talks Rovers, but I decided to kind of diversify and now come on to YouTube. So I find it a very interesting platform. That's where you can find me.
Fantastic. And is that just at Katie Talks Rovers, is it?
Yep, Katie Talks Rovers, yeah.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much for joining us. So I'll go to Mark first and let's get all the downbeat stuff out the way, if you like, of Coventry City. Mark, another loss, 3-0 loss to Leeds. Now, again, how can I say it? On our Twitter space last week, we said that this was a free hit and we don't have to worry about it. And I do agree with that to a certain extent, but with the performances that we've been showing of late, bar Tottenham, have been really, really poor. So it is starting to be a little bit more concerning, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's been a concern for quite a while now, really, since going back to last season. We're not keeping clean sheets. I think statistically we've only won 2 games in the last 17. If you go back to last season, we've conceded. We've only kept 3 clean sheets in the last 28 games, I believe, and it's not good enough, And it's the other problem is Robin doesn't appear to know what his best team is. He keeps chopping and changing the team in the hope of finding something that. With a round hole, meet the round hole, but it just feels like square pegs, round holes all the time, and we're struggling every game. And he hasn't really got a lot of excuses, in my opinion. He's had money to spend on players. We've got a squad where we are top heavy on attacking players. We lack leaders at the back. Yes, there's been a little bit of changes off the field with AD going. And obviously, I feel the problem started before that when Dennis went actually as assistant coach, because I felt when he was the coach, we were getting some good results. And if you cast your mind back to the Wolves game, that was a great win, and that was Dennis's last game, and after that we really struggled. So yeah, I mean, yes, going back to yesterday's game, yes, it was always going to be a hard game at Leeds, and to be honest with you, I did say on the last show in the Leeds game that I was expecting us to lose, and that's what happened. So I think the concerning thing for me is the manner of the way we're conceding goals. I mean, look back on the highlights today. Ben Wilson, for me, why he's starting in goal, I don't know. I find that a baffling decision to go with him instead of Dobbin. He's probably at fault for 2 of those goals. Just really, really poor attempts, not strong enough hands. It's really poor, but we're lacking confidence. It's quite obvious. I mean, the manager said that in the interview. We're lacking confidence. And what looking ahead to this game against Rovers, the fans have to get behind the players now. We've got to make it as hostile an atmosphere for Blackburn. Blackburn have made a fantastic start to the season. I think, in all honesty, probably you'd say at the start of the season on paper, Rovers would be the team you think would be struggling. We would be the ones who would be doing well, but it's the complete opposite. And Blackburn, to John Eustace's credit, has done a fantastic job. He's been really smart with who he's brought in. I look at the transfer window. He's brought in experienced players. Danny Bath is a good signing, a good solid sign from Norwich. I like Campbell. Campbell obviously did really well at Norwich. He probably didn't have the best of times at Rangers, but the guy's got talent. So look, it's going to be a difficult game, but I think for me, in terms of from our point of view, I feel it's a must. I know they like saying words must win, but I feel like it is must win, particularly from the point of view of Mark Robbins' future at the club, because we need 6 points in these next 2 games. If we don't get those, I think Robbins has to go, in my opinion. There's no room for sentiment now in football. Yes, he's done a fantastic job, and we should always be grateful to Mark Robbins for what he's done. And I hope for his sake he wins them 2 games and he's here for a lot longer. But we need to win on Tuesday, and we need to beat Sheffield Wednesday at home on the Saturday, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, we'll bring Katie in. Katie, Blackburn riding high. I think you're 3rd in the Championship now, unbeaten this season. You must be thrilled. What's Eustace doing that John Dole Thomason didn't do last season?
So, since John Thomason has left, there has lots come out. So, one big thing that happened at Rovers last season was Travis went on loan to Ipswich. And for us as fans, everyone's very, very confused. Why are you sending out our captain to Ipswich? So, from his side, it was very much that Travis wanted to go. But now he's come back. A lot of stories have come out in terms of how he basically was treating the players. There was no confidence in him in the slightest. Travis didn't want to go. He just wasn't being played, and to be honest, he was kind of pushed out. But with Eustace, he's got this thing, and I think when he first started saying it, he started infuriating the fans. When he first came in, because he's got this thing called, and you'll see it in his conference. He's like togetherness, and he basically means like the fans, the coaches, everyone on that team needs to be together. What I mean? We all need to be as one. And that's where I think he's really benefited, and he put so much confidence in those players because, like you said, Mark, and I said to you earlier on mine, that if you had to write, say, 3 teams down that you think would get relegated before the season started, majority of every single probably team in the Championship, one of them would have been Blackburn. And I'm not getting ahead of ourselves right now, but we're happy with where we are. Let's be honest, who wouldn't be?
You've got to be unbeaten, sitting 3rd in the Championship. You've got to be over the moon with that, But yeah, look, John Eustace is a good manager, isn't he, Mark? And we saw last season when he took Birmingham up to 6th, and then he was wrongly ousted, and Rooney come in, and I think they got their just desserts really in terms of getting relegated. But I think if you give Eustace time, I think he's a good enough manager to do something with a club, regardless of what that club is. Are you? How can I say? Are you obviously, I know you've just mentioned it, but are you really worried about Tuesday, or are you optimistic? Obviously, we won't do predictions yet. Obviously, we'll come to that a little bit later on. But Mark, are you really worried about Tuesday?
Yeah, you got to be concerned because we're not playing Blackburn. We're playing a good Blackburn side. Are doing well. They're unbeaten. The only positive I could say is they're due a defeat, aren't they? So I'm hoping that'll be Tuesday. We've got a good record historically against Blackburn at home, so I'm hoping that will continue. I'm hoping that the Venky's make a kamikaze decision and get rid of Eustace so we can have him, purely because of I know the Venky's haven't been the most popular of owners with Blackburn fans, but no, going back to the game itself, it's a game we have to win. There's no two ways about it. We've got to start winning games of football. Having said that, the problem I've got is I just feel that, as I said earlier, Robins doesn't know what his strongest team is. So I've got no idea what team he's going to put out for this game. What I would probably do is I think I would probably like to see Haji Wright come back, maybe Bissett come back up front. A couple of changes there. Is Sakamoto fit? Is he ready to come and make a difference to the team? Because he's been sub the last few games. Can he make a difference? So he's got to make changes to personnel, I think, and maybe formation. Maybe go with a 4-5-1, 4-3-3. We've got to be positive at the end of the day. But also it's important that us as supporters have to get right behind the team from minute 1 to minute 90, whatever it is, because we need us. We as fans have to get behind the players. To be fair, I'm not saying that we haven't in previous games, but even more so now than now, because obviously this is not going to define the season, but it will certainly define Mark Robins' tenure at the club. We need to win really on Tuesday, but we've got to play well. We've got to start games better. Every game I see us play, we have at least a 20 or 30 minute bad spell where teams get on top of us. They press us, we lose possession, and then teams are getting 1 or 2 goals ahead of us. We can't. This can't continue. It's not good enough. Look back at the Swansea game. The first 30 minutes, that's where the game's lost.
Yeah.
They dominated us too easily. We can see 2 really poor goals. And yes, we start to play when we're 2-0 down. That's no good. Football doesn't work like that in the Championship. It's a ruthless game. You've got to start from minute 1 to minute 90. And the players really owe, certainly Mark Robins, and they owe the supporters a performance, because the way the players are playing, they're getting the manager to sack. And it's definitely on the players at the moment, the way they're playing. It's just not good enough.
No.
So we've got to. There is performance definitely on Tuesday.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, Katie, in terms of sort of, look, we've got 1 or 2 bogey sides ourselves that we can't seem to win. But in terms of bogey sides, I think we're kind of yours, if you like, really. The last 7 games, if you look back, you haven't won 1, you've lost 2, and withdrew 5 of them. You've got to go back to the 24th of October 2020 was your last win. You had 2 wins in that season, and then you've got to go right back then until the Premier League, when we were both in the Premier League, to your last win then as well. So in terms of bogey sides, we seem to be yours. Are you optimistic about coming into this game?
I completely agree with you. I would say Coventry 100% is our bogey side. Things normally don't go to plan when we're playing Coventry. But I am optimistic. Things can change. We've had the best start of the season, actually, since the year we actually won the Premier League.
Oh, wow.
That's why I think giving families like thinking, oh my God, like maybe something's going to happen. I'm optimistic, but you just don't know. And like Mark said, this league is ruthless. You can go have an amazing win the next, and the one after that, you can just get absolutely ragged from the park. And no team should take their opponents for granted. That's one thing that I'll say. It'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Obviously, Mark spoke about the players a minute ago. You've had a busy summer. Obviously, the summer's long gone. We're probably closer to the January transfer window than we are the August one. But you had 14 go out and you had 11 come in. Mark's already mentioned a couple in Todd Cantwell and Danny Bath. You also brought in Owen Beck from Liverpool, who's a good signing for you as well. I think we were linked with Owen Beck at one point. You've had Sam Gallagher leave, and you've had obviously Sammy Schmodix leave as well for Ipswich in the Premier League. Who out of your new signings, if you like, has impressed you? Has, as you thought that you didn't think that he could play like that?
To be honest, I've got to say, like I mentioned before, he was like, Hashi. He's come from the Women's League, and he can score goals, and I'll probably say very, very good goals. And I just didn't think he would make an impact as he has earlier in this season, just because he's obviously come from the Japanese league, which is very much different, obviously, to our league completely. Him, and I'd probably say Gaia from the Belgian league. Again, he can score goals. He's a little bit choppy in front of goals, I would say. He knows how to score goals. He's very fast. That's definitely one thing to watch out. When he gets the ball, he's going for that goal, he will try. But again, they're both players that I think are doing really well for us. They've scored goals. And you know what I mean? Like, especially football these days, for me, stats don't mean nothing. It's all about who gets that goal in that net. You can be amazing how you want to be on position, but if you don't get that goal in that, you've lost the 3 points.
Yeah, that's right. Are you surprised that you're not missing Sam Schmodix more?
Do you know what? I'm very much surprised, and absolutely love the guy. Genuinely, will probably be like a cult hero for Blackburn for what he did. Because let's be just totally honest here. Without him, we would be where Birmingham are right now, 100%. We would have probably got relegated before Rotherham. So it's really interesting. But one thing that's interested me more is that this season people have now, like a light bulb moment, switched and realised that they all need to be collective and help. So we've had like 2 goals from Travis. Danny Bath scored yesterday. Even Cantwell only scored yesterday. Travis hasn't scored not even 1 goal in 2 years, but this season's come back and realised, new manager.
Yeah.
He's got this. They're all scoring goals together, which is going to add up, and it's just now it's keeping on that and everyone collectively adding your goals up, not relying on one person. And with Sam Gallagher, like the guy, but literally Ohashi's been here since the start of the season, and he's already gone over his tally for last season. So I have respect for Sam Gallagher, but I just think it was the right time to go and to kind of get him out the door.
Yeah,
because he's supposed to be a striker and he's not striking.
Yeah,
and as harsh as that is, guys, that is what he's paid for, and he's on one of the highest wages. I think it was around £20,000 a week for not striking goals. Like, it's just mad, isn't it? Even like football wages, like we were saying previously, like wages that people get paid, and it must be frustrating for you two as fans, knowing they get the payment out and they're not even performing on the pitch for you.
Yeah, exactly. Mark, any questions for Katie?
What's the sort of playing style that Rovers would like to adopt under Eustace? Is it more of a passing style, or is he does he like to adopt a more direct style of football?
I would say more direct. That's one thing that I think has changed from previously. Direct, and I would say a little bit more attacking as well, but knowing when we need to defend, because that's one thing last season that we struggled with, even with him coming under. We'd score a couple of goals, but then we'd give the opponents the thing. It's like yesterday, obviously winning against QPR, that was massive for us, because literally that was a year ago since we last played them, and that was a turn. How you, as at the moment, are going for a team where you're struggling to score the goals and going for a bad moment. That was our bad moment, where literally we were winning 1-0, and within the space of 10 minutes they were winning 2-1, and obviously it just, the whole stadium erupted in like not in a good way. So it's more attacking, and directing, and I'm happy with it the way it is, to be honest, at the moment. Hopefully, we can go in and get a result on Tuesday.
Yeah. Who do you see as the threats from us then, Katie? Well, who are you worried about? Well, to be fair, you shouldn't be worried about any of them at the minute, if I'm honest. But if you're going to pinpoint somebody from Coventry City, who would you say the threats are?
If I was going to be like a little bit of thing here, definitely a rival would be Ben Wilson with that goal that he scored. That's definitely one for us. But realistically, I'd probably say Hadji Wright.
Okay.
And also, to be honest, I know he's not performing at the moment for you guys, but Ellie Sims. I think when he does get on the ball, he can be dangerous. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, like I said, it's very hard, isn't it, at the minute, Mark, to be optimistic about anything. And I'm not, just like you to a certain extent. You mentioned it earlier about must-win games and stuff, and I don't like saying must-win is any game, but even this early on in the season, it feels like it is a must-win, and it feels like every game now at the moment is an FA Cup final. Because they've got to be up for it. And, I'm not putting the onus all on Mark Robbins, because that would be wrong, because he sends that team out, and that team put up a good fight against Tottenham. They beat Oxford last season. Most of them players played against United. They played against Wolves and beat Wolves. So as soon as they cross that line, it's down to the players. And at the moment, do you think that they've down tools? Do you think that that Mark Robbins has lost that dressing room?
It's difficult to say. I'm not in the confines of the dressing room to see exactly what's happening. All you can really comment on is the performances as I see. Yes, we played well against teams like Spurs in the Cup, but not being funny, most teams, any team you'd say, if you say to someone at championship level, you're playing against a team in a higher division, you are going to up your game a bit. That's inevitable. Mm-hmm. But I watched the game, well, from the highlights I saw, or I say highlights, lowlights of the game yesterday against Leeds. We were completely off the pace. And that's not the only game I've seen us completely off the pace. Swansea, the Stoke game at the start of the season was pathetic.
Norwich,
certainly second half against Norwich was pathetic. Bristol City first half, pathetic. We just seem very slow at the traps. We don't. I don't know if it's a fitness thing. We look off the pace, and I don't know if it's fitness or what. He hasn't got any excuses. Last season, he told us, well, it takes time to gel these players. You've got all these new signings, it needs time to gel, and you could sort of understand that more. This season, okay, he has brought a few players in, but it's pretty much the similar squad from last season. So I don't think you can use that as an excuse. So it's a concern, and the players haven't helped the situation. The performances have been utterly dross. It's been shocking.
Yeah.
And it's not good enough. It's not good enough that we're constantly being 1 or 2 goals behind for us to start playing football. That isn't good enough, and that happens. That's been happening quite a lot now, and I'm getting sick and tired of that now. So we've got to start the game better on Tuesday. Get on the front foot. We're at home. We've got to take it to Blackburn. Yes, they've had a good start of the season, but any team can have a bad day at the office, and and hopefully we'll have a good night on Tuesday. But as I said before, it's so important the fans get right behind the players, because the players need the fans, and we need the players to perform. But they definitely owe us performance, because it's been utter dross so far this season. Even the game, even the Oxford win, we did play well that game, but we've gifted them 2 very, very easy goals.
Yeah. And
it took a 95th minute winner from Hadji Wright to get us to 3 points. But if that hadn't happened, we'd bottom the league right now, and that's pathetic.
Yeah, it is. I totally agree. They do owe us a performance. But what I will say is, I think we've got to temper our frustration until the end of the game. Even if we go 2-0 down at half time, we've got to stay behind the boys. After the game, then, again, I won't necessarily boo as such, but you are going to hear boos, but that's got to be at the end. You know, we've got to make sure that for them 90 minutes that we're behind the boys. So going into that then, Katie, I'll come to you first. Can I have a prediction for the game?
I'm going to say we're going to win 2-1.
Okay, fair enough. Mark, prediction?
Well, I'm fed up of being on the fence all the time, so I'm going to come off the fence and I'm going to predict a nervy 1-0 win.
Okay, fair enough. That was actually my prediction, wasn't it, on your podcast, Katie?
Yeah.
I went for a 1-0 win as well, and I'm going to go for a 1-0 win. The honest answer is, though, I think it was our playoff season, we started off really poorly, and at home, we got a 0-0 draw against Stoke, I believe, and that kind of turned the tide for us. So as long as we keep a clean sheet and we see a performance, then I'm hoping that our season's going to start to turn. But we've got to start keeping clean sheets because we're having to score at least 2 or 3 to win games. And we've got to start getting horrible 1-0 victories again, like we did that year. And it's got to start coming fast because, like, you know, Mark's already mentioned that, you know, Robbins's time is becoming harder and harder to see. And it's just a matter of time. Like I said, I'm at the moment, I'm still not in the camp for him to go. I still firmly want him to stay because if there's any manager that you want to get you out of this situation, it would be Mark Robbins. But yeah, it's getting harder and harder. Any further questions, Mark, for Katie?
No, nothing from me. No.
Okay, Katie, any questions for me or Mark?
Well, no, I think you answered them all, but I'm genuinely looking forward to it. Secretly I am, but at the same time, I'm probably dreading it because, like you said, Mark, I think as fans, we know it's going to come at some point, and we have got a tough week. We've got obviously you on Tuesday, and then we've got Plymouth at their ground. So it's. Don't want to jinx myself, but I think unbeaten Mirren might actually come to an end this week. But fingers crossed it doesn't.
Yeah. So. Thank you very much for joining us, Katie. Before we do let you go, I always like to do quick fire question round with the guests that we have on.
Go on, yeah.
4 or 5 easy questions. First thing that comes to your mind. Don't worry if it's not just one worded answer.
Yeah.
So the first one is player to look out for you guys this season.
Oh, Hashi.
Oh, Hashi. Okay. Where will Cov finish this season?
I'm going to say 6.
Okay, in the playoffs. Wow. All right. Where will you finish?
5th.
Wow.
I'm being confident there. I don't know what it is, but it's something superstition or whatever. But there's just something in my head correlating the fact that this is the best season, like start to the season we've had since 1994-95 season, and that season we won the Premier League. I mean, anything can happen. It is a championship, but
yeah.
I'm remaining positive.
Fantastic. One player that you would take from Coventry?
Probably had you right.
Okay, fair enough. And John Eustace?
Togetherness.
Okay, fair enough. Lovely. Right, Katie, thank you very much for joining us. If you can just let us know where, again, we can find you and what you do.
So, you can find me on Twitter at Katie Talks Rovers or TikTok. Also, that's another one that I do, Katie Talks Rovers, or YouTube, Katie Talks Rovers as well. And I'll be doing lots of match previews. Thank you for your time today, guys.
No, thank you very much for joining us. Before I do say goodbye, though, just remember where you can find us, guys. It is scrolling down on our ticker at the bottom, but we are available on X, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Please go and rate us 5 stars if you listen to us on podcasts. Please go and like and subscribe on YouTube. We're sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications, and we're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar and the Sky Blue Tavern. So once again, Katie, thank you very much for joining us. Mark, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you for joining again. And Katie, good luck for the rest of the season, apart from obviously Tuesday and our reverse fixture later on in the year as well. So on that note, play up Sky Blues, and thank you very much.